Rob Williams is the national sports editor of the Daily Hive, and it's Offside Sports Vertical. Rob the Hockey Guy on Twitter. And look, who among us would dig out that the Vancouver Canucks are winless all time in the Millionaires jersey, in the Sprite can uniforms, and now with the shiny metallic helmets, other than Rob Williams? That's how you cover uniform and helmet beat.
Hockey gods don't like ugly, do they?
Attaboy.
The Sprite jerseys, I remember that so vividly because it was like, I remember it because they announced, they were like, we're wearing them for 4 games, and then that's it. And they played 4 games, they lost all 4, and they were never to be seen from again.
We're talking OG Sprite can, or not the reverse retros, right?
No, reverse retro
Sprite as well. Yeah.
Well, no, I think Sprite is the green one. So the one they wore in 2021 with
right. So yeah, that was called reverse retro. Yes.
Yeah. With the games where they had nobody in the stands and lost and everyone got COVID. That might be the most miserable year. That's got to be the most miserable year in Canucks history.
Oh.
I wasn't around for some of the I was too young to remember some of those awful years in the 80s, but I can't imagine it was worse than losing, no fans, COVID, and all the rest.
Well, and then the league wanted him to come back early, and JT Miller and Bo Horvat and others had to put their foot down and say, no, like, we actually need a little more prep time after half the team is bent over a toilet puking for the better part of a week.
So going into the game last night, I had the thought, I was going to put it on social media, but then I just get painted as the negative guy, so I didn't do it. But the Canucks did not look good versus the Chicago Blackhawks as a whole. There were good elements, but they weren't great versus the Blackhawks in that victory. And I kind of felt like, LA Vigneault's rule might come into play here. Near the end of a winning streak, you start to play badly, but still get some wins. I thought maybe that was going to, like, it was kind of tracking for a loss last night, like a regulation, like an old-fashioned no-point loss last night. And they dropped the chrome helmets out. They kind of got away with one, and they got a point out of it.
Maybe the chrome helmets urge them to a point. Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
What do you guys think of the
distracted the Blues?
What do you guys think of the chrome helmets? Because I felt like when I saw the photos come out from practice that I was sort of pleasantly surprised, because I don't like it when Vegas and LA wear theirs. And then I saw the photos, and I'm like, you know what? It's not bad working with the blue. And then when I was sitting in the press box and saw them come out onto the ice, and I went, no,
they don't make sense.
They don't look like they match. I guess the way that
Yes.
the light shines on them, it looks like a different color blue than the jerseys they're wearing. So
that's right.
Yeah. I never get too worked up about uniforms, logos, all the. I'm kind of like JT Miller. Hey, they wear what we wear, what they tell us.
But it does matter to them. We've heard it about.
Well, it matters to fans. I know,
but it matters to the players too. They have said time and time again they feel different in the black skate jersey. The BC Lions, when they brought out the gunmetals, the Lions said they felt tougher, they felt bigger in them. It matters to them. It does.
So this is the old.
You are what you wear. Look
hey,
good, feel
guys,
good.
They do have a better record when they wear the black skate this season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So look good, feel good, play good, I guess.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is it one and done, you think, for the metallic helmets?
No, they've said they're going to wear them twice, and then they're going to auction them off for the Canucks for Kids Fund. So
okay.
We'll see when they're. I mean, Saturday is scheduled to be a black skate jersey night, and then they've got the All-Star break. So it remains to be seen when we'll see them. But I would imagine we see them probably sometime in February or March.
And then that'll be it, though. You think 2 games in out?
Yeah. I do think so. I don't think. I think a lot of people were like me though in that reaction where they kind of thought it looked good. Like I was
in a picture. You're right. Yeah.
I was looking at the reaction when they wore them in practice a couple days ago, and the reaction was mostly positive. There were some haters, of course, but it was definitely mostly positive, and I definitely saw some negative reaction to it on social media on Wednesday night, and just I think seeing the same thing I did. It was like, oh, okay, with the blue and the blue don't match. I heard some people say like, oh, they should wear the metallic helmets with their their white jerseys, like with their white road jerseys,
so that you don't see the contrast. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think the solution is just no chrome helmets.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm not sure they're going to be a huge fundraiser.
Yeah, maybe
for charity in that auction. You've recently written on what it means to go all in. Rob, tell us about that.
Yeah, I feel like all in is kind of the buzzword in the market the last few weeks, where it's like, I think a lot of people are like, yeah, Canucks should go all in. Canucks should go all in. And then they say, okay, well, but don't trade Willander or Lekkerimäki or Höglander. And it's kind of has me harkening back to the trade proposals of Raymond, Ballard, and a third round pick, right? You're gonna have to give up something. Question is, what are they willing to give up, and does that constitute truly going all in? And if you trade your first round pick in a year where you're going to have it's almost going to be like a second round pick, does that constitute going all in? I don't maybe. I do think if you trade one of your top prospects, Willander, Lekkerimäki, that constitutes going all in. Is all in trading for a expiring contract, like a rental, like a Gensel, with having no intention of being able to re-sign him? I wouldn't say sign me up for those things. Like I think they need to be kind of in that next tier and extract value at the deadline. Don't necessarily jump out of your boots to getting excited about like this might be the year. Like it might be, but it might not. And I do have time for the argument that it's going to be hard to put together a better team on the ice next season. But I do think they have to keep a short term and a long term lens, and I think they need to look at those options. And it remains to be seen, like, what are you going to get for a guy like Atu Ratu or Vasily Podkolzin? Remains to be seen, but I do think that you can improve your team, without going for the big home run.
What we got a lot of run on this week. What about Monahan for their first rounder this year? What would you make of that?
Seems steep. I know Frank Saravalli mentioned that, like that they're going to get a first round pick. That does seem steep to me. Like, an expiring deal. Yeah, like to me that seems like, unless you have long term, plans for Monahan, but just to get Sean Monahan for 2 months and then have him walk out the door for a first round pick, that seems like a steep price to pay for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, we suspect that Gensel and Lindholm will be even more expensive.
The first round pick is expendable for Mlapia. How about Hunter Brstevich on this tear in the OHL?
I would be fine. I think if you're trading for someone and it's not just for this season, like I'm really weary about giving away like good pieces just for a couple of months. If it's a player that's on an expiring deal and you think that you might want to re-sign them, like the Tyler Toffoli deal, like something like that, I think makes sense. I don't think it made sense for the team in 2020 to make that kind of a future move. But I think that type of move where you bring in Toffoli and then re-sign him rather than have him walk out the door and keep guys like Jake Virtanen on your roster. But I digress. I also think moves like they made in 2011. Remember where they brought in Max Lapierre, they brought in Chris Higgins. That only cost them a couple of third round picks, but those were like really good fits for their group. And I think that if you look at the history of trade deadlines, there's a lot of teams that do damage to their franchise long term by trying to really reshape their team at the deadline rather than adding complementary players to the roster. And I think it's usually the case that if you need to bring in a star at the deadline to win the Stanley Cup, you're probably not a contender and you probably shouldn't be thinking that highly.
Fair point. Lionel Messi. Tickets went on sale, Rob, Thursday to see Lionel Messi, or at least Inter Miami at BC Place. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I have someone coming in from that I know that's coming in from Toronto to watch the game. I think it's going to cost more for the ticket than it will for the ticket to the game than it might for the ticket the plane ticket. Yeah, I'm on the pre-sale right now. It's $99 is the cheapest seat in the upper bowl to see Lionel Messi. I other than concerts, I don't think I've ever can remember a sporting event where $99 was the cheapest in the upper bowl at BC Place. Tickets as expensive as $300, and these are all originally priced tickets, of course. $300 for upper bowl seat, best upper bowl seat, center field. But still, that's a steep price to pay. The lower bowl's completely sold out already. So yeah, people are willing to shell out a lot of money for probably his one and only appearance in Vancouver for Messi. It's going to be an electric atmosphere, undoubtedly, but those are some pricey seats, of course.
And it's always a gamble, right? It's professional sports. I mean, Connor Bedard was a huge game here for the Canucks. I was at that game. I mean, everybody. There's so many kids. You can tell the parents said, "Oh, I want to show the kids the new wonderkin from Vancouver," and there's no accounting for fate sometimes, right?
Exactly. But I mean, I do think that, and we've discussed this before, that the people that are really panicked about Messi, or thinking that Messi's not going to play on turf, or there's no chance he'll play in that game. I don't think that is a legitimate concern. I think he will play in the match.
May not start,
barring injury, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the league has a responsibility to make sure that this player, who is different than any other player, of course, gets seen in as many.
If he's healthy, he plays 20 minutes
as possible. Sure. Proving once again the ticket sales on this game that Vancouver is an event town, because this is absolutely an event. A chance to see perhaps the world's most popular sport, the GOAT of the world's most popular sport. And how about that? I didn't. Miami plays in Toronto the final game of the regular season, October 5th. For a second there, I thought your buddy was coming because they weren't in Toronto, Miami and Messi. But the final game of the regular season, Inter Miami at Toronto on October 5th. So he's going to make 2 forays to Canada.
Well, the good news
for the first one in Vancouver.
For Toronto fans, this decision day, he's playing that game for sure.
Yeah.
So Toronto fans get the guarantee that if he's healthy, he's playing.
You say he's playing, like, if they have everything locked
up.
Right.
You're right. So, again, it might just be a cameo then there too. You're right. Yeah.
Anyways, fingers crossed for good health, Lionel Messi, before he comes to town here in May. Great stuff, Rob. We'll catch up down the road.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, everybody. If you're enjoying what you're seeing here, then follow along with Sekeres and Price on YouTube. I promise more content coming.
The kids call it subscribe on YouTube.
Well, how about liking it?
Do that as well. Smash it right now.